coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
I got a little siren that we made tonight. That was my son's doing right there, Landon Clark. You can attribute that to him. He made a little something for the show. He gives me a little help here and there from time to time because gotta keep the old man in check here because I don't know completely all the stuff I need to know, technologically speaking. But we finally did it. We finally made it to 5,000 subscribers, man. And that's a huge milestone for just about any channel. I mean, you see a lot of channels out there that's got 10, 20, 30, 40, upwards of 100,000, even 1 million. But if you do your research on it, only 8% make it to 1,000. And, of course, it's a lot less than that to 5,000. I think it's like 3 or 4%. And, of course, as the numbers go up, the bigger the achievement is. So I guess the next milestone in the scope here would probably be, I guess, 10,000, right? Whether we make it to that one or not, I don't know, but I do know that this has been a hell of a journey, and I appreciate everybody that's helped me get to the 5,000 mark. When I first started this channel, actually I had a channel before this that had over 500 something subscribers. We had to redo it and actually start a new channel, and never thought I'd get to 5,000, to be quite honest with you. I just started it just to, do it for shits and giggles at first and just to talk about sports. And if it took off, it took off. But the main theme of this whole show the whole time has been we are the home of the common Joe and the common Sally, the no, even more so than all those media talking heads. Now, I've already sent a few invites out to some of our characters in crime that have been a part of this show for quite some time, off and on 2 or 3 years now. I'm going to bring a few people in here, and we're going to talk about today's events, the college football playoffs aftermath. Looks like the committee had mud on their face, to be quite honest with you, and it makes me very happy as an Alabama fan. And just like it says in the title, Alabama fans are smiling right now because we all know, whether y'all want to admit it or not, the Alabama haters out there, they've been emasculated by Alabama for the past century. No, without a shadow of a doubt, Alabama would have went to Penn State and played a much better game than SMU. I would even go as far to say that Alabama probably would have went to Columbus, even though we lost to Tennessee. We basically give that game to Tennessee. I know it sounds like I'm making excuses, but I'm not. Go back and watch the Tennessee game and you'll see what I'm talking about. Tennessee tried to give us that game. We just give right back to them. That's the story of Alabama's season. But even Ole Miss and South Carolina, I think, would have shown up a lot better at Penn State than SMU did. I think that they would have probably played them a little bit tougher than even Clemson did Texas. Now, to Clemson's credit, out of the day's events, they were the 12th seed. They were the lowest seed that got in, which means that they were deemed as probably the worst team getting in. And yet they played Texas to a tougher game than anybody else. But that's because Texas is Texas, and Texas likes to, hem-haw around and talk about how great they are, and then they haven't even began to start on their second hand with national championships. If you ain't on your second hand with national championships, or at least got the thumb, if you ain't got the thumb, Texas, not really a blue blood yet, brother. I'm sorry. Sorry, long turds, but, y'all good and all, but y'all still ain't really, to me, in the blue blood conversation. Now, let's see who all's up in here right now. The only right-wing Duck fans in the house. What a bunch of snooze fest games in round one. Exactly. And people been talking about that all day long about how, see, we told you didn't need more teams because they're blowouts. There's no parity. Yeah, there's plenty of parity. plenty of parody. As I've responded to a lot of these talking heads on X, aka Twitter, there's plenty of parody out there. Plenty. It's just that y'all chose the wrong teams to reflect the parody that's out there. And I'm not just saying that because I'm an Alabama fan. Hell, y'all could have took Ole Miss or South Carolina, and it would have been 10 times better, in my opinion. I definitely think Ole Miss, even though they had that one bad game against Kentucky, Ole Miss could have handled Penn State. I really believe that. And if Ole Miss had played Texas, I think they could have handled Texas if they played them in a first round game. Notre Dame and Indiana, I forgot about them. We forget about Indiana because they only had one loss. But Indiana played a lot of cupcakes. Everybody gives the SEC hell about playing cupcakes, but we'll play like one cupcake, one hard non-conference, and then a middle-of-the-road non-conference game. Whereas Indiana was playing Western Illinois, like Eastern Kentucky or Wisconsin Eclair or some shit. All three of their non-conference games were cupcakes. And then, of course, you got the Big Ten, who have cupcake teams within their conference. Now, Tennessee did not right now tonight is crapping the bed, and everybody's saying, oh, look at the SEC. You got the Ohio State fans in there chanting SEC, like people in the SEC care whether Tennessee's getting their ass handed to them. One bad game by the SEC against Ohio State on the road does not make up for the 23, 24 years of domination this century by the SEC for the rest of you out there that's not SEC people. I'm sure that you love your football teams just like we do, but it doesn't make up for the fact that we've emasculated y'all for the last 23, 24 years. The SEC's won 17 national titles out of the last 23. One bad game by Tennessee's not correct that. Now, I will say this, Ohio State looks like they're a little pissed off. And they got the talent. They got the NFL talent. They got the best talent that money could buy and still lose to Michigan. But they're a little pissed off. I'll be interested to see what Ohio State does in the rematch with Oregon. That a lot of Ohio State fans didn't show up for the game, they said, because a lot of them are saving for the Rose Bowl. And that's the thing that's going to happen with these playoff games, man. People can't afford to go to 3 or 4 games right around Christmas. Just not happening. Y'all going to have to come down off the prices, and eventually these players are going to have to come down off their demands of NIL. And that I can't wait for, because then they're going to start basically losing their bowels, especially their corrupt-ass relatives and agents are going to lose their bowels because they're like, well, so-and-so used to get this much money back in 2024. Say we go to 2026, they're going to be saying that shit. Well, that was then. This is now. They're going to correct this. They're going to clamp down on this. And the NFL is probably watching this too, because a lot of these players can get paid millions and millions of dollars. You know what I mean? They said Arch Manning was offered $30 million for 3 years in North Carolina. Why would you even have to play in the NFL at that point? You play your 3 years at North Carolina, invest your money right, retire from football, and don't take the damage on your body that happens in the NFL and get CTE like Tua Tagovailoa is going to have when he's 45 years old. He's probably going to be losing his mind like Junior Seau. Let's see who's up in here tonight as we celebrate our 5,000 subscribers. Y'all tell me what y'all think about those playoff games. I know most of you are going to say it was a complete and utter shit sty, but what do y'all think could have happened to make it better? I think it's pretty Captain Obvious what could have happened to make it better. But I'm going to let you guys in the comment section tell me, inform us, the common Joe and the common Sally in the know, because y'all are the ones that's in the know. These other idiots like Greg McElroy and Sean McDonough giving each other reach rounds on the broadcast after the game about SMU, and they look completely stupid now. All that crap about deserving and who's the better team and all that. I don't see why people think that the word deserving and being better are different. They're not really different to me, definition-wise. If you're better, you're probably more deserving. If you're deserving, you're probably better. So don't try to separate the two. Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina. All three of those teams, yes, they're in the SEC, but all three of those teams were better and more deserving than SMU or Indiana. Just saying. Bottom line, man. And that's not me being biased towards my conference. That's me telling you the truth and not being disingenuous like Greg McElroy and them other jackasses at ESPN. But I'm going to go ahead and bring in a guy that's been with me almost from the get-go, that's helped me through some rough times and, give me some encouragement not to quit. Killer Breeze is in the house. What's going on?
What's happening?
Finally
What's
made
happening?
5,000.
5,000 subs. 5,000 subs, man. That's a damn good accomplishment, brother. There's a lot of people that sit back and wish that they had a show with 500 subs, much less 5,000. So you can feel good going to bed tonight that you've done something that most people will never do.
Yeah, well, like I said, I've been doing research on it. 8% make it to 1,000, and about 3 or 4% make it to 5,000.
That's right.
It's just that we see all these other channels with 10, 20,000, 100,000, and we think that's the norm, but it's really not.
No, it's not. And if you go look at some of those channels with 10,000 plus subscribers, if you go look at the views on their videos and go take a look at the comments section of their videos, your channel will compete with a lot of those channels, in terms of the views. So you're on your way. You'll get there, brother.
Thunder OU Sooners in the house. I'd like to mention him because he's got probably the best attendance of any member,
Thunder,
any subscriber. He's not really a member; he's a subscriber, but he's been there since the get go too. He said the first 4 games of the playoff were a disappointment. Yeah, that's probably an understatement.
That's right. Thunder definitely gets the jockstrap award for most support out of the posse because he's here every single time.
I think he might have missed one.
Did he miss one?
Yeah, I think he missed just one, maybe 2. I don't know. Regardless, he's the man. He's probably about 98%.
Hell yeah.
Fred Bagley, another big supporter of the program, asked him if he wanted to be on tonight. He said he couldn't tonight, but eventually we're going to get Fred up in here. He's been a hardcore supporter. He's got his badge. He's deputized. He's in the Outlaw Posse. It's been a wild ride, Outlaw. Yeah, it's been a wild one for me. I almost quit a couple of times, and Killer Breeze and Jonathan Lewis, they both got me here and said, hey, man, just keep pushing for a little while longer.
That's right. That's right. It always, man, everybody needs a little pick-me-up every once in a while. It's not an easy thing that you do, You make it look pretty easy. But getting online and holding court with a couple of dozen, if not a couple of 100 people, and not having it full of just dead air and awkward silence, that's not an easy thing to do, man. And you pull it off pretty easily.
Corrections 101 has been a member for 6 months. He uses one of his badge comments, and he says Saban said he would put OU in before Indiana or SMU. And that's true. People keep throwing that at Alabama because they say, well, you shouldn't have lost Oklahoma and Vanderbilt. Like that was a bad thing. Oklahoma and Vanderbilt, they're not scrubs, man. They're not 2-10. They're in a bowl game. Both teams are in a bowl game. Tennessee's in a playoff game, even though they basically embarrassed themselves tonight. But Alabama, all 3 of our losses have been to teams that's in postseason play. So how's that a bad thing?
Well, and if you go look at Indiana's schedule and go look at all of their wins, I'm pretty sure all of their wins have been against the bottom half ranked teams in the Big Ten. So, Indiana, man, hopefully they're going to make immediate changes that'll start next year, because clearly all these second and third teams from these weak conferences, and I include the Big Ten in that, but Indiana has no business being in this playoff. Neither does SMU. I guess you give it to Clemson because they won the conference championship, but there's just a lot of teams in this thing, man, that they did a bad job here, and they have to seed next year's tournament 1 through 12. The top, if I think it has to be 12 teams next year anyway, right? Because they're in contract to stay at 12 for at least 2 or 3 years. But next year, if they're going to give out buys again, which if they stay at 12, they will, it needs to be the first top 4 seeds get the buys regardless of conference championships. Because clearly, conference championship doesn't mean that you are in the top half of the draw.
Sigma says, really happy for you, Outlaw. He used one of his badge comments as well. Appreciate it, Sigma. Sigma's actually an Alabama fan like me. Starting to pick up a few Alabama fans. I thought I was fixing to have to enter the transfer portal and start rooting for Oklahoma.
Sigma's been in here a lot too, man. You got some loyal followers in the Outlaw Posse.
Yeah, I've decided what I'm going to do. My angle is going forward is I'm going to concentrate on the 2 Crimson Nations, Alabama and Oklahoma, because if you try to spread yourself too thin, sometimes it hurts you more than it helps you. And also, I'm going to probably start talking about more worldly affair things, maybe celebrity news, and maybe some politics like me and you've done in the past. I'm going to start adding that in as well.
We're going to turn it into a news and lifestyle is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, it's just going to be just a grab bag of whatever the hell we want to talk about. We want to come in here and talk about Reebok sucks. We'll just come here and talk about Reebok sucks, whatever we want to talk about.
I like it. I think we can still find some time for some of the Posse faithful, we can still talk about the Ducks. And Larry Trewicki. Where's Larry Trewicki at? Is Trewicki in here with his corn icon yet? Talking about his Huskers?
The corn Husker.
We got a few we can talk about. Some balls.
Yeah, and I would like to tap into that fan base. Nebraska's got a hardcore fan base. They've been suffering for quite a while. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring in a few other people real quick that have helped the program. One of our newest connections.
5K. Look at that number down below his name. 5K.
That's right.
That looks cool as hell.
And yours says 5H, right?
Yeah.
Me and him both got to our milestones at the same time. He got his 500. He's now monetized.
No, I'm not, but thank you.
You should be monetized, right? I thought 500 was monetization.
I thought you can get it at 500 now.
You still have to get hours.
Oh yeah, you need the views. Yeah.
I don't have the hours.
You don't have the retention yet.
Nope.
How many hours do you need?
3,000, and I'm about halfway there.
I like it.
But to get to the next level, you only need 4,000. So I don't even really care to get the 5K 3,000. I want the 1K 4,000, and that's when you get full monetization.
That's why you see him on here doing them Jerry Lewis telethons he's been doing here lately.
That's right. Just building the hours. That's 100% right.
Man, they take over the TV at night, man. I'd be so pissed off, man. I'm like, hey, damn, man. I'd be watching wrestling or something. They got Jerry Lewis on there begging for money.
Nobody's paying me for this. I'm just trying to get hours.
I like it.
So what do you think?
What's that?
What do you think about those playoff games tonight? I mean, it's pretty obvious. I know what y'all gonna say, but I mean, it could have been anybody, man. They said it wasn't no parity, but the parity's there. They just didn't put the right teams in to reflect the parity.
I agree with all that. You've already pretty much said everything, and I don't really have much to touch on because I pretty much agreed with all of it. I think it's stupid. I've made videos about the 12-team playoff, 3 of them, I think, and every one of them says stupid in the title because I think it's stupid.
Another rock star in our entourage is Johnny Johns from Next Halen in the house.
Johnny Jones.
We got a bunch of rock stars in here, man. Killer Breeze used to be in the band. NIL Commish is in a band. Johnny Johns is in a band.
That's right.
Man, I feel a little emasculated up in here.
Hey, you are
no, dude, you wrote that rap. That rap was amazing.
That's right.
You can't see me.
It's like Johnny Johns is here. You got Killer Breeze here. You got the commish, NIL commish. You got JPC Outlaw, and then you got Johnny Johns from his mother. That's where I come from. I come from my mother. He was
Oh,
about to say Johnny Johns from Next Halen, but it's Johnny Johns from my mother.
oh,
That's
Brother
right.
from another mother.
So where'd you come from, my mom? But anyway, dude, these games today were terrible. I expected a clunker or two, but I'm like, dude, really? Every one of them, they're all clunkers. Like we couldn't get one damn game to be a good game today. I was excited for these games.
Look, man,
I bought
yeah. It hurt my telethon.
the last place team, the one that's supposed to be the worst, Clemson,
yeah,
played the best game.
yeah, that was
Texas just kept them around. I'm like, there you go. There's Texas right there.
right.
Up for everybody.
Stone Banton says that Miami should have been one of the teams in the playoff with only 2 losses and can score on anybody. Jumped purely on style, points, and not record. What do y'all feel about that? Y'all think Miami should have been in the playoff?
I mean, at this point, I would have put them in over SMU. I mean,
yeah, now I would have done that. I would have definitely put them in over SMU.
I mean, I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, dude, after the first 3, we're getting ready for Tennessee, Ohio State. And I'm like, man, I think this one's going to be a good game. And I literally tried to, I guess, manifest it into a good game. And I thought there's no way in hell they're all 4 going to be clunkers. That's just not going to happen. And yeah, dude, they were all 4 clunkers. And even the ones when you go back and you look at the scores and they're, that wasn't too bad. No, they were. They were all bad, dude. 4 games. They were never in depth, dude.
Even that Notre Dame Indiana game is really, really misleading. It was a lot worse than 27-17.
Yep. It was. It was. They made it look better at the end, but it wasn't. It wasn't a close game, man.
That's Sigma's response to Stone Banton. Miami just got scored on again by Syracuse.
Yeah.
You know, y'all want to give us hell about losing to Vanderbilt in Oklahoma. Y'all lost to Syracuse.
Yeah. That didn't help.
How many games did Miami lose?
Stone says 2 losses. I
Who
guess
did they lose to? They lost to Syracuse and who else? Georgia Tech, right?
Yeah. Or wait. Yeah. They barely beat Virginia Tech. Yeah. I
And
think
they
you're right.
really lost to Virginia Tech too, right?
They barely beat Virginia Tech, but that was a questionable call at the end of that game.
That was a Hail Mary that was caught and they reversed it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they barely beat a few teams, and then they lost a couple. Yeah, I don't know. We hear about parity in college football this year, and it definitely did not. You didn't see any of that parity in these first 4 games. I'm shocked. I can't believe they were all 4 clunkers like this.
Put the wrong teams in there.
Hey, I'm thinking they should have expanded it to 8 teams. Maybe 12 wasn't the right move.
Yeah, maybe 16, and we just could make sure we had all the right teams in at 16, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I know it sucks because it's like, man, I don't even know how they fix this. Like the FCC cannibalized each other, but now that argument is starting to kind of blow up in my face over the last 4 hours because now I can't say, well, just all the SEC teams are good because Tennessee just went out and laid an egg. So I don't know, man. I guess just the good teams are good teams, and there's a bunch of pretenders that are in it. I mean, that's the only thing I gather from it.
I feel like Ole Miss and South Carolina would have done pretty well. Easily better than Indiana, the likes of Indiana and fucking SMU.
Yeah,
You know, Ole Miss's offense would have definitely probably scored more than 10 points on Penn State, right?
Absolutely.
Ole Miss, and I'm not going to use my team. Ole Miss would have definitely scored some points. And I think Ole Miss would have beat Notre Dame too.
Yeah. You can't deny it. You know, anyone that wants to deny it or try to act like that's not the case is not being honest.
Right.
Stone, I got a question for Stone Banton since he's clearly a Canes fan. You know, and the Oklahoma-Miami rivalry goes back some years. If you go look at the history of college football, where does Miami turn now that Cam Ward is out and Mateer is at Oklahoma? Where is Miami going now for quarterback?
I heard that they might still be in the running for Mateer.
Yeah, whatever.
I got a link.
Let me tell you that ranks right up there with the nonsense that Miami was ever in the chase to start off with. The interesting thing
I got a link. You want me to pull it up?
Change the title of this video to that. I bet you'll get more viewers.
That is some nonsense. Talking about Arbuckle going back to Washington State as the coach. That is not going to happen.
Yeah, they're talking about Brian Arbuckle's a candidate for the Washington State job.
He might be a candidate. I mean, they can call whoever they want a candidate. That doesn't mean that they're doing anything.
Mateer may flip to Miami. That's what they're talking about in that link.
Never. And by the way, if Coos is watching, I mean, as much as I love Coos, he puts out a video talking about Zach Alley going to be the defensive coordinator at West Virginia. Under Rich Rod. Give me a break, man. Why in the hell would he do that? That makes zero sense.
Was Zach Alley the defensive coordinator at Oklahoma?
Yes, because he was coaching.
It would be a lateral move then.
It would not be lateral.
He'd be going down.
Yeah, you'd be backpedaling. That one.
DCOC, he's loving that. He felt the trigger.
You might be at 5,000 subs. You might be at 5,000 subs, JPC, but you can stop talking that nonsense. Lateral move my ass.
Actually, I'm at 5,006 now.
Uh-oh.
Watch out. Yeah, it would be a horrible move, but none of it makes sense. He's got a better relationship with Venables. I mean, they call him a mini Venables, man. Like I'm not trying to, say that his doesn't have a good relationship with Rich Rod. He very well might, but why would he leave coaching at a premier program in the SEC with his mentor to go to I mean, with all due respect, to go to West Virginia and Rich Rod? I mean, that makes no sense. He's already his rebuild he's already starting to succeed at Oklahoma. It's not like he had a bad year. He was the one bright spot in all of the nonsense that we had to go through this year. So I just don't see that as plausible at all.
Rich Rod's like a West Virginia god, man. So I guess, he's sort of enamored by that. He thinks that Rich Rod can do anything.
Well, Rich Rod may be great at talking.
West Virginia, man. They're the winningest team in college football that's never won a national title. They're like 15th all-time winning percentage, and they've yet to win a national title in any relevant sport. Now, they do have a couple national championships in rifling or Red Ryder BB gun or some shit. I forgot what it's called, man.
Yeah, they won 2 natties in pep darts. But the whole deal is with Zach Alley going to West Virginia as the defensive coordinator, it's like, dude, that was laughable. But anybody who was able to get any kind of yahoos to click on their videos and say, hey, man, this might be a thing. Hey, you did good. You did good convincing people that was actually a thing. But the deal with Arbuckle going to Washington State as a head coach, that one actually seemed like it was at least possible. Like, hey, maybe he does want to be a head coach just for the simple fact that maybe he just wants to be a head coach. Like, I mean,
he ain't ready. He knows he ain't ready for that. He's fucking 29.
I know he's not, but at least that would be an upgrade. And
you see how the latest child prodigy is doing as a head coach, right? You noticing the meltdown taking place in Los Angeles right now.
Right. But here's the deal. When I heard it, I'm like, dude, he will want to be a head coach eventually, but not for Washington State. And dude, you see how much of their roster they've lost? And think about it, dude. You're at Washington State. They're at a conference that's got 2 teams in it. They're trying to bring in some other little boys, little brothers in there. But it's a place where you get a good quarterback, and then Miami steals him. And then you get another good quarterback, and then Oklahoma steals him. And then you get a good offensive coordinator. He's going. It's a place that it's proven like that's a really hard place to build something at. So I don't know why he'd want to go there. I would just kick ass at OU for a couple years, and maybe you can get a job in the SEC or the Big Ten or something.
Look, man, this ain't. You can tell this ain't an unbiased site either. It's called Kane's Warning.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying right here that Miami could flip material. Washington State hires OU offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle.
Yeah.
Good luck. Yeah, good luck.
I mean, that's coming from Kane's Warning, and they wouldn't be biased, right?
No, they wouldn't bullshit us.
No.
No, they would not bullshit us at all.
Well, there you go, Stone. I hope that helped you a little bit. Maybe it gave you a little bit of a Woody there down there in Cuba Canes down in South Florida.
How much of an impact do y'all guys think it is with Mateer and with us getting Arbuckle and getting Mateer? How much do you think he helps us win 2 more games, 3 more games? What do y'all guys think?
None of he's at Miami.
No, if he's at Oklahoma. If he comes to the real McCoys, if he stays at Oklahoma where he's at right now.
I hope he does for real, though.
I mean, I literally just seen him at the club. John Mateer.
He ain't going nowhere.
He's a next tailing groupie, ain't he?
If the offensive line, which all of a sudden you start to feel kind of good about the offensive line they've added a couple of decent, at least big bodies.
Yeah.
That Simmons guy looks pretty legit. And you got great talent coming in. Now, granted, offensive linemen, traditionally speaking, have a pretty high bust rate. So you got to feel good about at least one of Susie and Foji turning into a legit, at their position. And if you happen to hit on both of them, you still got the young talent like Louis and Sosa and who was the other one that came in? We lost Eugene Brooks, but there was another one that came in that class. So if the offensive line can play well and these receivers, first of all, stay healthy, man, I think it should make a huge difference.
So let me change subject just a little bit for a second. Y'all got to love Lane Kiffin, right?
I love Lane Kiffin, but I would never want him to be my head coach. As far as what he says and his tweets and everything, I love it.
He comes out and rips the college football playoff committee. Lane's not going to shut up. Ole Miss coach Lane Kiffin's been active on social media criticizing the college football playoff selection committee after back-to-back blowouts. Notre Dame beat Indiana down, and then Penn State was fueled by a pair of pick sixes and hammered SMU 38-10. He said, "Really exciting, competitive games. Great job.
Yeah.
Way to keep us on the edge of our seats. Riveting." I'm surprised they don't find his ass for saying shit like that.
And he said that after just the first 2 clunkers. I can't wait to see what he says after now there was 4.
Well, he used to be the head coach of Tennessee. He's probably going to take a shot at their ass, too.
Oh, hell yeah, he is.
Oh, yeah.
People forget about him being in Tennessee.
Can you think of a fan base that deserves that more?
No, I can't. I'll be honest with you. Other than Texas, maybe. Maybe Texas. Everybody, Killer was like, "Man, why are you rooting for Texas to beat Clemson?" He's having a little spat on the phone before the thing. I was like, "Man, it's just one game, I promise."
Right.
I hope the Sun Devils take that pitchfork and shove it right up their ass.
That's
Pretty
right.
cool.
We don't want Texas. Texas doesn't need to have any more of an inflated sense of themselves than they already have after mediocrity, much less.
They should have won that game by 28 points tonight, man. They just lounged around all night. They're lucky it wasn't somebody a little better. They might have lost that game.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And, on the bright side,
hold on to the ball for 1 yard, he pops it out of his damn hand.
on the bright side, it's nice to see Dabo continue to falter. That never gets old for me.
They didn't belong in the playoffs either. They just slipped in there.
No, they limped in.
Yeah, and they punished everybody else. I'm like, how's everybody else getting punished for the ACC not being able to handle the business? The SMU shits the bed and we get punished. The SEC gets punished, man, because SMU couldn't do what they're supposed to do.
SMU, I mean, again, the fact that they got a participation trophy entry into this thing is ridiculous, man. They lost. What in the hell are they doing in this playoff? And clearly, I mean, let's not pretend like Penn State. I mean, Penn State beat them down. Let's not pretend like Penn State is some killer. They're not. Penn State likely loses to Ole Miss or South Carolina or Miami. I mean, shit.
Or Alabama
gets it.
Got Alabama, man.
Sigma gets it, damn it.
Did you leave Alabama out for, man?
Oh, Alabama.
Well, because they lost to Vanderbilt in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
Alabama was definitely.
They're awful. They didn't go to. They're not in bowl games, right?
Alabama would have pummeled.
Vanderbilt didn't beat Virginia Tech, and they didn't almost beat Texas, right?
Are we talking literally or figuratively here?
Both.
And I guess both.
Man, the thing with Bama is it's like it depends on which one you're getting. I mean, they would look good one week and then a clunker and then good. And then that quarterback with the turnovers. And then when they played Auburn, I felt like they needed to go out there and really smash Auburn. And
hey, at the midseason, I thought Alabama was going to win the rest of their games at the midseason and make it into the playoffs and win the whole damn thing.
I did too.
Alabama's the true definition of Jekyll and Hyde.
Yes, they were. And I think that was where they're like, well, if we get the better part of Alabama, this would be great to have them in the playoffs. But if we, which Alabama are we getting? The Alabama against Georgia and the Alabama that we've seen against, go on the road to LSU, or are we getting the Alabama that we've seen against Vanderbilt and Oklahoma and Tennessee, which we now just figured out that Tennessee team, they're not very good. So it's like this Alabama team wasn't as good as the ones we've seen in the past, but I still think they were better than that Indiana and SMU and all the clunkers that we've seen today. They would have put up a better fight than that.
In 2 years, they're definitely going to 14 teams. They're already talking about 14.
If you had a different quarterback this year, that just say, is Jalen Milroe the main issue? I'm asking you because you're the Alabama fan.
Jalen Milroe is some of the issue. There's a little entourage that goes along with him. I call them Cancer 5.
Yeah.
Because they're like a cancer on the team, and they try to dictate stuff and say, if Jalen gets benched outside of injury, we're going to lay down.
So he's the leader of that Cancer 5. So
yeah, that's what I think anyway. They won't come out and say that. We ain't got no proof, but it's just been talked about here in Tuscaloosa. So
what do you think they would have done if they had, say, just Jackson Dart, or I just threw out a random quarterback?
I think that probably would have been a lot better.
Okay, so Jalen Milroe is pretty much the problem. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I think he's a part of the problem.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think he can throw the ball downfield really well, but
I hope he don't come back. To be honest with you,
I don't blame you. I think turnover Milroe definitely.
Yeah, that answers my question.
But I mean, turnover Milroe, if he transfers somewhere else, and I'm trying to figure out like what other school. I've always felt like, and dude, from the get-go, I felt like he was an average quarterback or a below-average quarterback that was on a really good team. And then he beat Georgia, and I'm like, well, hell, I guess I'm wrong. Maybe that ain't what he is. Then he, over and over and over again, continued to be that guy that I originally thought he was. And, like, it did seem like he was the guy that felt like they I don't know. He felt entitled. He did feel like he dictated stuff. And it was like, oh, well, I stayed even after the great Nick Saban left, and I stayed here. And it's like he thinks he's kind of in a different level than where he should be. And his play on the field doesn't prove that. And the turnovers help. they beat Auburn, but dude, he turned over the ball a lot even in that game. Like they should have smoked Auburn, but his turnovers made it a little bit closer than even that one should have been. But yeah, he kind of reminds me of a guy that was at OSU a few years ago, Spencer Sanders. Remember that guy that was with them when they played in the 12 championship?
Yeah, I remember he entered the transfer portal and had nowhere to go.
Yes. Yeah, he did.
Killer Breeze was telling me on the phone that Texas fans are going to be unbearable if they keep winning these playoff games. He said, I don't know what's coming. It's just going to be unbearable. And the reason why I'm touching on that is Thunder OU Center says Texas fans are already bragging that they got one playoff win over Oklahoma. But I'm going to bring up his tweet from an Oklahoma guy.
There we go.
I think y'all really like. In regards to Texas's great accomplishment today, let me bring it up real quick. See what y'all think about it.
You know what, Thunder OU Center? You're one of the coolest guys on this channel, and as good of a supporter as it gets. What I have to say to Texas fans is, well, we've made it to the Final Four faster than they have. So let's see if they make it to the Final Four.
That's right.
We have faster than they have. So that's what I'd say.
This is from JAE at Okie FB fan. He says, how Texas finally got a playoff win. An expanded playoff, $20 million in NIL, a weak schedule, 0 ranked wins going into the playoffs, and they face a 3-loss ACC team. But hey, other than that, good job, Texas.
I think that sums it up about perfectly.
Yeah.
Horns down. Got you little one win now. Turn on.
I'm telling you, dude.
There. Boom.
If they win the national championship this year, they will pretend like they have been winning national championships like this for the last 30 years. Every other program is going to be beneath them in their eyes. It is going to be the most we just can't let it happen. It just can't happen.
My opinion, you got to get on that second hand in national championships where you can say you're a blue blood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some people say 5, but I say you need to be able to get on that second hand. You know, like Alabama, Oklahoma, teams like that.
I would agree. I would totally agree.
Who else? Even USC. USC got 10 11. Notre Dame.
And which, again, by the way, is USC, which is melting down as we speak in LA.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
What's wrong with USC?
I mean,
I thought they had the guy that was going to close the border. I thought he was going to be like the Donald Trump of California.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to close the freaking border off from everybody.
Yeah, that's what he promised. That's what he promised. As it turns out, he's just like at Oklahoma. His progression at USC has been a downward trend on the graph.
Yep.
He started great, and every year has been a little bit worse so far. So he went, 10-3 the first year, 8-5 the second year, 6-6 the third year. So they're losing every single one of the 5-star players that he has recruited and signed. No longer plays at USC. He doesn't have one of them. He's also lost a fair amount of the 4 stars too. So
I really hope we get Branch. That would be some nice karma.
That ain't gonna happen. He wants too much money, I'm sure.
Oh no, I know, but I just want that for karma.
Alabama actually got a couple of good ones today. We got some offensive linemen or defensive linemen, and we got some wide receivers from Miami. We took one of the wide receivers off of them for Stone Banton out there. Yeah, we took your shit. Well, I can't laugh because we got our shit took too. Everybody's getting their shit took, man. It's just like you got to decide where you want to put your money, man. They're going to run out of money, man. This is untenable, man. There ain't no way they can keep this up.
I completely agree. They've got to get something in place, man. There's got to be. I think you're gonna, you clearly, we've said it before. You're clearly gonna have contracts, but you're gonna have limits on or at least I would hope there would be some kind of limits on transferring. You know, how many times you can transfer. Maybe you got to sit out a year if you transfer a second time, something like that. But this just constant bouncing around, and it's just not good for college football, man. It's just not good, and it's already changed it probably irreparably for the worst. You know, already. If it's
imagine
a minor league system, then that's a bummer.
Imagine what it's going to be like watching NFL games when they're like, it used to be like, oh, this is Sam Bradford, Oklahoma. This is Tua Tagovailoa, Alabama. Now it's going to be, this is James Smith, Alabama, TCU, Clemson, back to Alabama to Texas State.
Right. That's right.
They're going to have 4
They're talking about paying these players $30 million. They're talking about giving Arch Manning $30 million to go to Carolina for 3 years. Why would you even play in the NFL if you make $30 million, man? You can just retire and not have to worry about going through all the CTE and getting damaged physically. You make your $10, $20 million in college and just retire.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting about North Carolina offering that money to Arch Manning is that contrary to what people believe, Mateer coming close to, or Miami actually becoming a player in the recruitment of Mateer, from what I understand, it was never really Miami, but North Carolina did apparently get his ear because Belichick offered, you know, quite a bit of money, and they also, you know, he's setting North Carolina up by his own words to be a stepping stone to the NFL. So he's going to set it up like a mini NFL program.
Yeah, Bill Belichick sees something. He wouldn't have come and started that. Come down and started coaching North Carolina if he hadn't got something up his sleeve.
I think it's real. It's kind of fascinating to me, man, because he's got a clear plan. He is gonna run North Carolina's program like an NFL franchise for everything, coaching, play calling, scheme, recruiting, scouting, player evaluation, player compensation. All of that is going to be just like the NFL. So it's almost like, you know, it's a real selling point, you know. I mean, most kids, I would imagine, care more about making it to the NFL than they do about winning a national championship. I mean, if you're smart, that's what you would care about.
Yeah, they need to start making a percentage of their NFL performance based, like Dale Cent said. You know, pay them, and they come in here, they're high schoolers, they never even gained a yard, and you're already paying them millions of dollars, man. Hell, Quinn Ewers put the screws to Ohio State. He went up there and got a bunch of money and then left and went to Texas.
Yeah.
That's just giving them an unrealistic view. They can't do that in the NFL.
Right. And then you got teams like Oklahoma, where we had a good percentage of our NIL money sitting their butts on the bench, dude. I mean, all those wide receivers making NIL money, a bunch of our money was on the bench this year. And so, yeah, it should be performance based. Like, you know, hey, you'll get this amount of money, but if you get, you know, 1,200 yards, you'll get this much. Or, hey, you win a conference or you make the playoffs, you get this amount of money. If you, or for that matter, you play in the games. Like, I couldn't, all those receivers that were getting money and wouldn't even play in the game. And I knew there was no way. I mean, I know they got hurt and whatnot, but it got to a point where I'm like, dude, are y'all for real all too hurt to play the whole year? Like, not one of y'all can suck it up and get out there and play at all. Like, you guys are
that works.
Yeah. Even him. Yeah, even him. I mean, and I remember you kind of calling him out a few weeks ago and saying the same thing, you know. And I thought, yeah, Killer Breeze is right, dude. I think some of these guys are laying down on us.
Dude, there's no way you'll convince me otherwise. What was that, JPC?
They just sit there and draw money, sit on the bench, man, pretend like they're injured.
Yeah. They're getting a big percentage of our NIL money, dude, sitting right there on the bench, man, not helping us at all.
Well, I mean, it's no secret that when teams are playing poorly, either overall in the season or in each individual game, the injuries tend to go up a little higher because people are just like, what's the point? We're getting our ass kicked. Why am I going to risk blowing out my knee? You know? So Deion Burks, who gets this one of the biggest, if not the biggest NIL contract that we gave out, to in the transfer portal last cycle, he comes in and basically sits out the entire season with a soft tissue injury. I just don't, especially with the second half of the season, he was dressed out in every game and warming up on the field like he had no issues.
And he looked fine. Yeah.
And he looked fine. So I just don't believe it. I think when the season looked like it was going to be a disaster, some of these players, were just not willing to risk it. I think Andrell Anthony falls in that category too.
Yep.
I mean, he's had to have his knee cleaned up a couple of times. I get it. But, man, come on. I mean, how bad do you want to play?
This is the big leagues.
Yeah. And I the only one I'm convinced, obviously Jaden Gibson and Farouk, I think were legit. I think Nick Anderson now, considering the contempt he had for the training staff at OU, I mean, he might have just been refusing to play just on towards the end, just in principle alone. Like I'm not risking myself. These people can't heal me.
And it's not just happening at Oklahoma either. It's everywhere. And you got our athletic director calling our fans out, saying, "Hey, y'all need to give more money." I'm like, we're already, paying high ticket prices, buying crappy food at the games, paying for overpriced tickets in the upper deck in the middle of September, burning our ass up, but we ain't got no fight. That's what our AD said. Y'all need to have more fight. We're Alabama. Well, what are we going to do? Give a bunch of money to these players, and then they're going to leave in another year after we give them our money? Then they're going to turn around and leave and just take our money with them?
Yeah. No, I agree.
I believe my athletic director said that shit, man.
The timing of it was peculiar at best. I didn't understand that.
Right around Christmas, right? We might have other things we got to do, Greg. We might want to buy our family something for Christmas. Maybe have Christmas dinner, man. But while your guys over buying Contime's latest shades, getting Contime Deion Sanders' latest shades, we're over here trying to buy us a ham for Christmas.
But it also, it also just came off. It just came off as kind of like desperate,
It did.
He just lost his mind and just ranted, lashed out. It didn't come off as a well thought out and thoughtful, comments. It's just not how it came out.
Yeah, and it almost felt like like maybe people are blaming him. Did you hire the right guy or whatever? And it was like a thing where, oh, okay, I'm going to blame you. Hey, you guys, y'all are the ones that need to do better, not me. You guys, y'all need to donate more money. Y'all need to do better. It was almost like it was pretty weak, honestly.
It was.
I don't know if Ryan Thibodeau's in here, but he said he was going to come on tonight. If you're in here, Ryan, I did send you an invite, just so you know.
I thought I saw him comment early on. Where you at, Big Stack Kelly? Isn't that his name now? He went from Big Cojones Kelly to No Cojones Kelly to now he's Big Stack Kelly.
Yeah. He's a man of many names.
I think he needs to stick with the Big Cojones Kelly. I think that was the one that really grew on people, man.
Yeah, he said the reason why I went to No Cojones Kelly is he lost a bet. He had to change his name.
Oh, is that right?
Is he an OU fan? Because I'm telling you, I lost a lot of bets this year.
He's an LSU guy.
No, he's an LSU fan.
Yeah, well, they lost a few bets too. But, yeah, as an OU fan, boy, it was a rough year. But I did start winning on some parlay cards. Thank God. Alabama AD.
There
Tim
you go.
Gillespie.
Yeah.
Tim Gillespie has his badge. He's also been around a while. He sent me a nice gold trimmed Bible, trying to set me right.
Nice.
Tim's put up with a lot of crap from me. But he is right. Alabama AD sounds a lot like Mike Gundy. He wants to blame everybody else for the mistakes. Mike Gundy said something sort of like that, didn't he? He was talking about the fans not having good jobs or something, and that's the only reason they were criticizing them because they didn't have a life. That's what Mike Gundy said.
He basically called them poor.
It's like, that's a life. Maybe it's because you suck, man, and maybe you're a rollover.
That's just the weirdest. If the whole Mike Gundy situation this past year doesn't encapsulate what's so weird about Oklahoma State. Like, I mean, it's hard to even take him seriously because this guy was, I mean, by all accounts, had his mouth had finally written a check that his ass couldn't cash. And
That's
he was
good
gone.
analogy there.
And then all of a sudden, the news breaks that they reached they've reached an agreement on contract extension. And just like, what in the hell is going? Like, are you really trying to win in football, or do you just not care?
They got that Stockholm syndrome with him, man. They don't think they can do any better, man.
It has to be it. I mean,
I understand that mentality.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen them win in the past with other coaches like Les Miles and.
Yeah, if they want to go the route to get stepping stone coaches, people that are just going to be there for a couple of years and go somewhere else.
Honestly, with Oklahoma not in the Big 12 anymore, there's no reason why they couldn't be the best team in that conference. If they were serious about winning, they could do that. But they clearly aren't serious about winning.
Did they win any conference games this year?
Nope.
No, they were terrible this year. I think they were 3-9 or 2-10 or some shit. They were awful.
Everybody had the 09U. They changed their logo to 08U, and then it was 09U. And that was conference play, of course. But yeah, there was 08U instead of OSU. But I'm not gonna lie, dude. I felt the same way Killer Reese felt about it. I thought, hey, dude, now that Oklahoma and Texas are out of their hair, because they were like the second winningest program in the last 15 years, like in the Big 12, and I kind of felt like, man, with Oklahoma being out of their way and Texas being out of their way, and they was returning like 19 starters from the team that went to the conference title last year. It was either 19 or 20. And then they go out there and they're that bad. I'm like, dude, something's wrong up there.
Yeah.
Something's definitely wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, they're letting Mormons and Sun Devils come in and take over.
Yeah.
So, saying, by the way, I think SMU lost to BYU too, by the way. I think that was one of their losses.
Do we think Rich Rod at West Virginia is Rich Rod gonna bring West Virginia up as possibly the best team in that conference moving forward?
We had them on the cusp of a national championship game, and they got upset by Pittsburgh. LSU ended up backing in there and beating Ohio State.
But is this going to be the Bill Walsh experiment, or is this going to be the Bill Schneider experiment?
Well, what does West Virginia's financials look like? I don't know what kind of money they have.
No.
Not good.
Okay, then no, they're not really going to come up in the Big 12.
West
Now
Virginia,
they got Pat McAfee.
the best punter of all time, Pat McAfee.
Punter you.
They got Pat McAfee. Here we go.
You
Here it is.
You seen that?
We got
We
got a longhorn in the comments section. Here he is. Here we go.
Where's he at?
All right, Redmayne. Tell us how great Texas is. Let's pretend like Texas has been great for the last 30 years. Let's bullshit everybody. Tell us how good they are. Let's hear it. I know it's coming.
I think Texas will do really good as long as they don't have to play Georgia in that playoff. And now they get to play the almighty Arizona State. next week. And if they beat the almighty Arizona State after getting to play the almighty 9-3 Clemson, we're going to get to hear about how great they are next game as well.
Oh.
Dude, we've won 2 playoff games. Okay, man, how many Final Fours have y'all made it to? Because Oklahoma's been to the Final Four.
Well, technically, they were in the Final Four last year.
Well, they did make it, so they've made it to 1. Okay, I'll give them that one.
But that was given to them. I was like, here, you're in the Final Four.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
We'll see what they do. They Penn State.
Agent's owned by Kalen DeBoer, by the way, because Kalen DeBoer beat him when he was at Washington twice in back-to-back postseason games. So Kalen DeBoer owns Steve Sarkisian. Just so you know. He owns Dan Lanning too. For all you people out there.
Yes, he does. So yeah, what do y'all for real think about Texas? I mean, they get to play Arizona State next game. They got to play Clemson tonight, and this ain't your typical Clemson. This is not the Clemson teams we've seen in the playoffs before. What do y'all truly think? You think they're good?
Lose.
You think they're what?
I want them to lose, but I think that they'll probably beat Arizona State.
Right.
If you ask me who I put my money on, probably Texas.
Okay. So let's just say they do win that game. And we got to hear Texas fans talk about how great they are because they won 2 playoff games, even though they got just like they got a favorable schedule in the SEC. They got a favorable schedule in these playoffs too, getting to play a 9-3 Clemson team that this ain't nothing like the Clemson teams we've seen in the past. Now they get to play the almighty Arizona State. Don't get me wrong, I like Scatterboo. And with his shaky helmet, dude shakes his helmet. You're probably wondering what I'm talking about. If you are, it's because you ain't watched Arizona State that closely. Scatterboo shakes his helmet. And I was telling people this last time they were watching. They're like, dude, I can't unsee it now. Like every time I watch Arizona State and I watch Scatterboo, now I can't unsee it. But this dude like shakes his – it's like a tick that he has, like Mike Tyson biting his glove. It's like a tick that he has. But anyway, he shakes his helmet. I love Scatterboo, and I always rooted for Arizona State when they would play Lincoln Riley. But yeah, they're not. That's an easy they're really lucky they get to play Arizona State. Okay, wow. So let's say they win that one. Then they finally come up against a team. Who would they have to play after that? Are they going to have to play
Oregon or Ohio State?
Yeah, and that's not fair. Oregon has to play Ohio State. That's horse shit.
Yeah,
it is horse shit. Because look at what Penn State and Texas gets to do.
Yeah, they should reseed this shit. They should reseed it, man.
Yep.
They could have. Yes.
Right now, reseed it.
Yes. Look at what Penn State and Texas gets to play, and then look at what Oregon has to play right out the gate.
Oregon should be getting Arizona State. Texas and Ohio State should be playing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, see,
Ohio State looks like they're pissed off about something.
Hey,
I don't know if I want to play Ohio State right now. To me, right now, Ohio State looks like the team that might win it all.
Yeah, but you were saying it should be flip flop. Now you're just making way too much sense for this committee that we got.
No, right? They don't want that, man. They got to find some way to screw it up, man. They do it every year. They find some way to make controversy.
Right, they do.
If it's not putting TCU in over Alabama, it's the next year they put Alabama in over an undefeated team, and then this year they take SMU and put them back in over Alabama. It's like, okay, we're going to, take turns being nice, and then we're going to screw it up. I don't get it, man.
Right. I don't either. And apparently they don't get it either because they really botched it.
If it had just been the top 4 this year, they didn't go to 12. Who would it have been? Who would have been the top 4 this year?
Would have been Oregon. It would have been, I guess, Georgia would have been in there. It would have been
Oregon, Georgia, Texas, and
maybe Ohio State.
Probably Ohio State. Yeah.
Am I let Ohio State stay in, or would they drop them out of the top 4 for that loss to Michigan?
You're
No,
gonna
they
put
probably stay in the
you're gonna
top
put
four.
Texas in there over Penn State. I am totally kidding. I know somebody's gonna be like, "What the fuck you talk about Penn State for?"
I mean, Texas only had 2 losses. Granted, they was to the same team, but 2
Right.
losses.
Everybody had 2 losses.
two losses to the team that I picked to win the national championship. Not saying that I know
And-
that, but I think they're really good.
One of their losses was in a championship game, so in the regular season they had 1 loss, which was better than
It's
most.
been Oregon, Texas, Ohio State, and who else y'all say?
Georgia.
Georgia.
Indiana.
Oregon, Texas, Georgia, and
Ohio State.
Ohio State. Those 4 people would have probably been okay with it.
Yeah.
Well, not much you can really say. I mean, it would have been real iffy what they would have done with Ohio State with that late loss.
What about Notre Dame? Would they have been in it?
It would probably
That's
Penn
true.
State. Maybe, I don't know. Notre Dame, yeah, I forgot about Notre Dame. It would have been Notre Dame. That's
So
what would
maybe-
have happened. They would have dropped Ohio State behind Notre Dame. And it
Yeah,
would have
that's
been Notre Dame.
That's fine with me. I hate Ohio State.
He's like, I would have been happy with that. So yeah, it would have been. So it would have been Georgia, Oregon, Notre Dame, and Texas, I guess.
It's going to be real interesting to
Ohio
see.
State would have been fairly left out.
Y'all making Red Dane lose his bowels in here? I'm looking at these comments a little late.
You can take his fucking hook 'em baby comment off now. He's had that up there long enough. Highlight somebody else.
Just ask your homeboy outlaw. Ask me what?
There you go, that's better.
What do you want to ask me, man? You're on the clock. Go ahead and ask your question. We're going to be fair to the long turds. Now they did something about all them libtards you got down there, and I might like y'all a little better.
No, that'll never happen. That'll never happen. Austin will always be liberal city.
Corrections 101 says Bevo identifies as they and them too.
Yeah. Yeah, Bebo is a beta bull. He's a beta.
Some good steak.
I know where that comes from.
Amazing.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Except
How Texas owns OU.
Well,
Man, you don't even
technically they
believe that. Let's talk about Texas. How Texas owns OU.
God,
Technically, overall,
Texas
technically
doesn't even
overall
have
they do.
the
What do you
lifelong
have?
conversation.
2 conference championships. What do you have? 2 conference championships, maybe 3. Oklahoma has 14. Won 8 or 9 times out of the last 25, 26 games. You have you have about half of the national championships Oklahoma has. The only thing that you have over Oklahoma is this weak ass playoff win, and you have a more recent national championship. But let's not kid each other. Both of them are pretty long time.
Oh, he's gonna talk about the overall schedule or the overall record.
Texas
Yeah,
used to be
let's
in the
talk about
Southwest.
the overall schedule.
They used
The
to be
overall
in the
record.
Southwest. They used to be in the Southwest Conference, so they weren't in that.
They weren't
People
shit
don't realize-
then either.
No, people don't realize that Texas and Oklahoma weren't in the same conference for a long time. So what Texas is trying to say is, if they'd been in the Big 8 with y'all that whole time, y'all wouldn't have won all them conference championships. Texas would have won some
yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
But when we was in the same
Texas
conference,
couldn't
with them,
hold Nebraska's jock back then. Couldn't
Right.
hold Nebraska's jock. I can promise you, if Oklahoma was handling Nebraska, we had no problem handling Texas's weak ass. You go back and look at the history of college football. There is not a bigger underachieving program than the University of Texas. Second and only might be USC or Texas A&M.
Texas
They
A&M.
No reason why Texas shouldn't be in the hunt every year, and they are just that has just not been the case. I don't need to prove shit. Go look at their record over the last 30 years. Go look at it.
But don't
Yeah, it
Texas
is.
own y'all overall? Overall, they lead that series, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
they do.
Yeah,
They do.
because they won a bunch of games when nobody gives a shit.
Wasn't
years.
it 1920 and backwards?
I'm pretty sure it was in the teens.
Yeah.
You have to go back 90 years before they have a winning record. But yeah, overall, if you go back 120 years or whatever, they have a winning record. But what Outlaw just said is that guy, what he was alluding to is, okay, but if we would have been in the same conference all those years, we wouldn't have as many. Okay, well, let's talk. Okay, that's fine. That's what you believe. But what about let's fuck what we believe. What about what happened? What happened when we were in the same conference? Okay.
Domination.
How many conference championships did we get, and how many did y'all get? Because apparently it was only easy for us to win, not you guys. Y'all won 3.
Man, they had to beat Rice, man. Come on now.
Yeah, exactly. They had to beat Rice.
Metropolitan area there.
But this is what I'm talking about. This the delusion is like I lived in Austin for 13 years, man. I saw this shit up close and personal. I got good friends of mine that I argue with this. I mean, it's delusion on a level that you don't see on a regular basis.
Right. I've never seen a fan base beg for people to respect them more than Texas fans. Like, they're like, y'all keep moving the goalposts. Y'all said if we played in the SEC that we wouldn't be able to win, and now we're winning in the SEC, and now you're saying it's because we're playing all the bottom teams. Well, no, we're pointing out the fact you played all the bottom of the fucking barrel. We are pointing that out. You didn't play when you finally played a ranked team, you lost, and then you go tonight and you get lucky in the hand that you get dealt. You get to play Clemson, a 9-3 Clemson team. That's the hand you get dealt. Now you get to play Arizona State, and you're wondering why everybody ain't giving you your cookies. I mean, go beat Oregon, go beat Georgia, go beat Ohio State, and then we will give you some respect, and you won't have to beg for it. But right now
they point to that Florida win, but Florida's quarterback was injured, man. They was down their third string quarterback, a guy from Yale. Yep. And they beat the shit out of Florida, and then Florida turned around and beat Ole Miss. I said, look, we beat Florida, and they beat Ole Miss. Yeah, but Florida had their starting quarterback back against Ole Miss. So don't try to use that Florida win like you done something. Y'all played a crippled Florida team, what you done. So
yep, they did. They played a bunch of crippled teams, but yeah, they're begging for respect. That's all they need to do. Go beat Ohio State or Oregon or Georgia or any of those 3, and you'll get the respect, and you won't have to beg people for it, because it's getting ridiculous, dude. And OU fans are not the only ones seeing it, man. It's starting to get where that SEC trash talk group I'm in, everybody's seeing it. They're like, dude,
they got a huge solid on that schedule for sure. I mean, you would think Georgia, who's won 2 national championships in the last 3 years, would have got a huge solid, but Georgia got screwed pretty hard. And Texas has got their hardest game was Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt's better this year, but normally they're not. So when they put Vanderbilt on the schedule, at the time it was considered a huge solid.
Right. I mean, and even A&M. I mean,
how many games do they lead y'all by the way? Just curious. I don't know. How many games do they have y'all in the series?
I want to say we got 40 something, and they have 50, or maybe we have 50 something.
No, we got like 51, and they got like 61, and some shit like that. It's
like a 10 or 15 game lead on you.
It's 10 to 15.
It's like it's like 10, 11 is something like that.
Y'all need to start catching up, man.
It used to be a lot bigger. We've got up a lot.
That's what NIL commish just said is correct. It used to be. It's been steadily going down. That's the funny thing. And again, if you don't, I mean, you can go back almost in the last 75 years. You can go back to almost any 20-year period, and Oklahoma's going to fucking dominate the 20-year period. Other than the late 60s, and mid 2000s. It's never, and right now, it's
last 2 out of 3 games. Last 2 out of 3 games, though, he said he's blowed y'all out, 49-0 and 34-3.
But again, Yeah, that's fine, but we all know the circumstances by which that happened. Like
they're going back in time to the 1920s because it's 2020s. They're going back in time. They back to owning your ass again.
Yeah, well, we'll see how long.
Well, they have owned us the last 3 years. They have smoked us twice. He is right on that. But the whole deal, to your point where you were saying, hey, y'all need to catch up. Well, we have been. If you go watch the Texas massacres on YouTube, which there's like 4 of them that we smoked them, 4 or 5. If you go watch the 63-14 or the 65-13 or the 55-10s or the 2012, whichever ass kicking you want to watch, which there's been a bunch of them over the last 25 years, you can go watch. Whichever ass kicking you want to watch, go watch it, and you'll see. They show the score, and they show where they had like 60 wins or close to 60, and we had like 37. And that was which ass kicking was that? I think that was the 2000 when we beat them 63-14. Correct. And I'm like, damn, they had a good lead on us 24 years ago. Wow. But since then, we've won 16, and they've won, 8 or 9, I guess, since then.
I'm just trying to keep you off of Mike Tyson, this guy, man. I'm trying to keep him around for a while.
I mean,
playing a little devil's advocate over here. I'm waiting for Killer Breeze to light my ass up.
I can't. I'm still focused on Redmayne.
That's what I'm talking about.
Shit. But this is what I was trying to tell you, and you were trying to tell me about why Texas needed to win tonight. And this is exactly what I was talking about. No, the hell they do.
Well, I didn't know they was going to come out and say, we got a playoff win and y'all don't. I didn't know it was going to be like that. I was just like, damn, man. Really?
That's what I was trying to tell you, man. This is what I was trying to tell you.
You beat what was the third place ACC team until the last week.
I mean, look, and they may win it all this year. They got a good team. There's no question about that. My gripe is that they're like the Democrats, running for president. They just make up fucking things. They just make things up. Like the reality isn't the reality. Why can't it just be you got a good team? No, that's not what they want it to be. But you wait and see. If they happen to pull it off and win it this year, they'll like in their minds, Georgia who, Bama who. It'll be like with Texas. Texas has been badass forever.
Them schedules they made for everybody this past year are going to be the same schedules next year. So they get 2 years of that shit.
I know.
Pretty nice, solid schedules there.
Well, at least they'll have to play a few road games this year. I mean, they played damn near every game they had last year was at home.
They do have to go to Georgia. That is one good thing about that. Of course, Georgia don't
care. Georgia next year.
And I don't like pushing Georgia, but Georgia will beat Texas anywhere. Anywhere. They beat them in Austin. They beat them in Atlanta. And now maybe they're going to beat them in Atlanta again because the National Title Game's in Atlanta, right?
Correct.
Y'all really want to lose to Georgia 3 times? If I was y'all, I'd probably go ahead and let Ohio State or Oregon whoop my ass. Because I don't know if you want to be embarrassed by Georgia 3 times, dude.
Hey, do y'all think that the odds are kind of in Texas's favor if they was to play them a third time? It's like, man, because it's hard to beat a team, even if it's a decent team. It's hard to beat a team twice. It's damn sure hard to beat a team 3 times. And it's like at some point that team is going to beat you. And Texas did have, like Nick Saban pointed it out today. It's like, man, Texas goes down the field. Quinn Ewers fumble. Texas goes down the field. Quinn Ewers interception. And basically what Nick Saban was pointing out is like, dude, they didn't capitalize on some of these big drives that they had in that game. There was a point in that game where Texas was outgaining Georgia on the yardage by a lot.
They should have won by 21 points, dude. They should have been up by 21 at halftime.
Well, so like Clemson today, they should have probably beat them by 35 points.
But it's like what that surprises you. Texas just went Texas on you. That's what happened. Tiger just went Tiger. I mean, that's what it basically is.
All right.
And I don't care if they've lost to Georgia 9 times. There's still a good chance they're going to lose the 10th time too. Because at the end of the day, until they prove otherwise, I will never see Texas as anything other than what they've been, mediocre at best with some good flash in the pan years. You want to prove it that you're something else, then do it. Do it at least once. Just do it one time. Because you haven't done it since 1967 through 69 and 70. That's the last time y'all were good for a number of years in a row. So far, you've got 1 year with one playoff win. Win it all this year and continue to be good for a few years, and then I'll believe you're something different. Until then, you're a glorified mid-major team.
Well, Georgia, they lost their quarterback and their punter, so they may be an entirely different team in this playoff. They might get upset by Notre Dame. May not see that. Georgia.
Is he definitely not coming back? The quarterback? Is he definitely out?
They're saying he's out for the year.
He's done.
I did not. I haven't seen that yet. I heard that he was more than likely done, but I didn't know it was for sure. Honestly, the other guy did better anyway. So, I mean, God dang, that does suck though. And Outlaw was even talking about that going into that game. He's like, man, should Georgia and Texas? What I mean, they're going to play in a game. They're both automatically in the playoff, no matter which one wins it. Well, Georgia kind of needed to win it.
Right.
So he's like, would it make sense that either one of them play their start? What if you get one of your starters hurt in this game, and then you got to go to the playoffs, and sure shit, Georgia gets their quarterback hurt and their punter.
That's right.
And that's tough, man. That sucks. But the other guy did come in, and I felt like he did just as good as their starter anyway. So
he come in late, and he done a decent job. That's pretty funny that Texas couldn't beat them without their starting quarterback.
Right.
Even the Duck fans don't like Texas, man. What have y'all done to everybody? Hey, look at that. Only right-wing Duck fan says Texas is the team I'm least worried about.
Nice.
Y'all better be worried about Ohio State because I think they got it for you. Beat them by 1 point out there in Autzen Stadium in Eugene. And on neutral field, I don't know, man. Ohio State might be able to get you.
Yeah.
They're pissed off right now for losing to Michigan. They're going to talk about firing Ryan Day stuff, man. I'm like, man, y'all fire Ryan Day. That's stupid to me, man. How
many schools are going to be wanting him tomorrow if they fired him?
Can't lose the Michigan this many times in a row, man. Just can't do it. He gets one more year. If he loses to Michigan next year, he is out.
Yeah, I have to agree there.
I just don't understand how. Okay, they can do that, but there's going to be a lot of schools that want a coach that wins 11 and 12 games every year.
I agree.
I understand you can't lose to Michigan, but it's also, can you get fired if you're going 11 and 1 every single year? You know what I mean? It's like it's hard to fire a guy that's making it to the playoffs or making it to the. I mean, it's just like I get it. Losing to Michigan's not good, but if that's the only game you're losing every year, like he was real close to winning a natty a couple years ago, and who knows, man? It wouldn't shock me if they won it this year. Honestly, I mean, who if they beat Oregon, they're going to be.
They always have talent, you know.
How are you going to fire a guy who wins the national championship just because he can't beat Michigan? Sort of a weird spot to be in, right?
Well, look at Kirby Smart, dude. Is he fired for not being able to beat Alabama? I mean, he wins the other games.
Ryan Day hasn't won a national championship.
No, he hasn't. I'm saying he does.
That is a good point.
I'm saying if he does win it this year, if he wins it this year, if he wins the national championship, but he lost to Michigan. So how you going to fire him for losing to Michigan when he wins the national title?
I would think if he wins the national championship this year, he can lose to Michigan next year.
And he can lose to Michigan, exactly. Because and we know that's true because Kirby Smart's lost to Alabama over and over and over again, but he wins natties, so he's not fired. So yeah,
Ryan Kelly.
Derek Davis said, I hope that Texas ends up playing Oregon so they will have to play Dylan Gabriel again, because remember what happened to OU in Texas last time he played Texas. Dylan Gabriel beat their ass.
Right.
Johnny, what do you think about Mateer at Oklahoma?
I mean, I think we're going to not suck. I'm hoping that the dude comes in and if you watch his highlights, he looks like Baker Mayfield, but you also got to, like me and NIL Commission was just talking about this. Watch the games where, he threw some interceptions. Watch the games where he did lose the game. I think he's good. He's the number one player in the portal for a reason, number one quarterback for a reason. And I think he's, like Teddy Lehman was saying, he watched like 20 or 30 plays of the Washington State game. He said, dude, I've seen more high-level throws in that game than I've seen all year at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I think the guy is the real deal. And dude, I hope he comes in and saves the program like Baker Mayfield. That's what I'm hoping happens. But honestly,
nice.
I really hope that the dude, if he can come out, man, imagine he comes out, the offense looks great. I love it that it ain't just him. We got his quarterback coach, his offensive coordinator. I hope he comes out and this offense looks like a completely different offense and he's just tearing it up and kind of like what Baker Mayfield did, when he came here.
Yeah.
That's what we're pretty much hoping. We're hoping he's another Baker Mayfield, but I think other guys wanted him. Like I know it wasn't like if Bill Belichick was looking at him and that was a real thing, and it sounds like it was. We all know, like Bill Belichick, if there's a guy that knows how to evaluate players and knows what the hell he's looking at and knows what he's looking for, it's Bill Belichick. So it does make me feel better that Bill Belichick was, in on him and trying to get him. I also like those receivers that we got. And I know if you look at it and you look at the schools that they come from and you're like, oh, well, hell, I've never heard of that school or that ain't a big school. Dude, watch these guys. Watch the film on these guys, dude. They all look pretty good, and I love the way they're all got size. Also,
what would Toby Keith say? What would Toby Keith say right now? How do you like me now?
How do you like me now? Hey, it's definitely way better. It's definitely a hell of a lot better than if we wouldn't have got him. Imagine if he does go to Miami or North Carolina and we don't land Mateer. And then we got to go after one of these other guys in the portal. And I think it's a major drop-off between Mateer and some of these other guys. I don't know who's going to be in after the playoffs, but what's in there right now, I think it's a pretty big drop-off between Mateer and the next guy. So it's way better than if we didn't get him. But I'm not getting my hopes up, man. Honestly, if we could somehow win 10 games next year, I'll be happy with that. But it would really be nice if he goes out there and surprises us and he looks like Baker,
I'm getting my hopes up.
I'm getting my hopes up. I'm also excited about Arbuckle and what's the quarterback's coach name? Kuzieski or some shit like that. I can't remember his name.
I can't either. Huh.
I'm excited to see those guys develop Michael Hawkins as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Me too. And I love it that he's staying too. I love it that Michael Hawkins isn't dipping out.
I made the point earlier on the last stream that Johnny and I did, where the defense played amazing. If you just had even just a game manager as quarterback, just somebody that doesn't turn the ball over, gets you some first downs, takes some time off the clock, we probably have 3 more wins this season. And I think Mateer can do that and then some.
Hey, guys, I'm fixing to have to cut out on y'all. But I
Uh-oh.
appreciate y'all coming in here before me tonight in the 5,000 subscriber celebration show.
Man.
Getting close to 12 midnight. My wife's trying to run me up out of here. She needs to get in the bedroom so we can go to
Well,
work.
you better go celebrate with the wife.
Better go celebrate with that wife, man.
Uh-huh.
Happy wife, happy life. That's
I
how it goes.
appreciate y'all being here for me, man. Y'all been here from the get-go. And
That's right.
And Yeah, been a hell of a
Well,
ride.
congrats on the 5,000, man.
Yes.
Yes, definitely, dude. I've already done pissed my wife off. I've been on 2 live streams in a row. She's probably in the transfer portal right now.
Uh-oh.
I'm looking at that myself.
Uh-oh.
Well, y'all be good, man.
All
I'll
right,
see y'all again.
Y'all
Later.
take care.
y'all take it easy, man.
Later, guys. Thanks, OC.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Well, all right. I appreciate y'all stopping by tonight and hanging out with all of us for the 5,000 celebration show and giving us your thoughts on the college football aftermath and the fact that they basically just crapped the bed tonight. The playoff committee showed why they didn't make the right decision on a lot of things tonight. And maybe next year things will be a little different, but you never know, man. They always try to find a way to screw it up, don't they? But I'm going to get up on out of here. Try to, look at here. Hydrate Outlaw. No, I'm not doing it tonight, man. I just only got some bottle of water, brother. But Center Magic Brother said we're going to need 30 wide receivers just to be extra safe. Yeah. With today's NIL, yeah, you better get you a bunch of them. Bama couldn't fire Bill Curry. Yeah, we did fire Bill Curry, though. Because he couldn't beat Auburn or LSU. And, yeah, Fred Bagley, he's always been one of the big ones in here as well. Later Outlaw, congratulations. Appreciate you too, Fred. And with that, I'm going to get up out of here. KMCA to all the other teams, class is now officially dismissed.